And then here we go with the more dangerous neurotoxins detected in a pond. I mean, we're getting this all over, and there's a reason why all this stuff is getting stagnant. I mean, our oceans are dying, the trees are dying, everything is dying. They want to bring in the transhuman and to take our place. But anyway, let me bring in Elana Freeland. Are you with us, Elana? She's wrote tons of books, and she's probably one of the most knowledgeable people I know. Helped in waking me up, and then I'm just trying to do my part now. But hey, Elana, welcome into the show. Are you with us?
Oh, thanks for having me, Mike. I've listened. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're coming in clear.
Okay, yeah, I've listened to you many times. I love your weather reports, and I'm happy to be here to fill in where I've gone since I used to spend a lot of time on the weather myself.
Yeah, and I've been following you for years. I mean, you're probably one of the first people, or one of the first groups I think I joined on Facebook.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's been years. It's hard to believe how fast time goes. I would like to dedicate this to the few people who are activists and they are no longer with us. Certainly Rosalind Peterson, an amazing activist, one of the first in California. And Dr. Rosalie Bertell, who was an epidemiologist and wrote the amazing book, Planet Earth, The Latest Weapon of War. Both of them are now on the other side, rooting and helping us, I assume. And then Suzanne Mara Mossman, one of our great Canadian activists. She is not with the movement as the primary that she once was, but I'm always grateful to the amazing work she did, particularly in putting up a couple dozen, what are they called, those advertisement boards all over Ontario regarding chemical trails. So I never forget activists because it's a dangerous job. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication, a lot of passion, and I do not take activists for granted at all. I want to make sure that people know that besides the two books I've written, the Chemtrails HARP and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth in 2014, and then in 2018, the Under an Ionized Sky, From Chemtrails to Space Fence Lockdown. Now there will be an essay of mine and 8 other intrepid women from Europe mainly, mostly professors at universities over there. We have a book coming out very shortly through a French publisher called Global Warning. Geoengineering is wrecking our planet. And I'm really excited about that. These women have written amazing essays, so keep your eye out for that. It will be in English.
Great. And I've got all your links. I think I have all your links down in the description. And I did go try to watch your last video on YouTube, and there was no audio when it got to you talking. I didn't know if you knew that. And I was gonna,
what happened?
There's no audio on your last video after the beginning. Yeah, I tried to listen to a little bit of that right before the show, and the audio is missing on your YouTube channel.
Oh, is that the one when the talk I gave in Olympia, Washington?
I don't have it up right now. Oh wait, maybe I do have it.
No, it's something else. I saw the picture.
CERN, D-Wave, and HARP. Space Fence, the Dark Journalist. Yeah, it sucked. There's no audio. You know, just the beginning of the guy talking, but as soon as
Where?
Yeah, so you might want to try to find that and get that.
Oh, is it Daniel? Is that with
yeah.
Dark Journalist?
Yeah, there's your audio's.
Well, that's sabotage, because that video was working perfectly. So yeah, I mean, you know how it goes, Mike. It's one sabotage after another, and then you go find another version, and you know, the game goes on.
Exactly.
So how would you like me to start? I mean,
you want to talk about your new stuff that you're working on, or do you want to, refresh people on the old stuff, or you want to talk D-Wave?
Yeah, I can do that. Okay, all right, and then you come in anytime you want if you have something particularly weather-wise that could add to and contribute to what I'm saying. Because what's happening in me is I started out years ago, certainly with weather and with Morgellons. It was sort of a two-pronged interest that I had for the first book. I was very good friends with Clifford Carnicum. We lived in the same area down in the Southwest at that time. And we would have long conversations about what he was finding in the precipitation he was collecting after the jets would fly over northern New Mexico. And so I got into the Morgellons. I read all his papers at that time, wrote a whole chapter on it, chapter 8 in the first book, and then went through all the weather that was happening at that time and had been happening for several years. The hurricanes in particular, tornadoes, earthquakes, tidal waves. And I went through them. As you remember, there are some very famous ones that were there. And I looked at all of them in terms of HAARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project up in Gakona, Alaska. And I had read Nick Begich and Gene Manning's book, Angels Don't Play This Harp, and was very, very interested in just what made this ionospheric heater particularly different. And truthfully, even though they said they shut it down in 2013 and then passed it over to the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and it's no longer a primary, that is simply not true. And so now I'm looking at HAARP through another lens, which came to me after Billy Hayes and Jim Lee helped to guide me through to write the Under an Ionized Sky book and looking at Space Fence Lockdown. And now it has gotten very tiny, what I'm looking at, very, very small. It's the very hidden, very serious technology known as nanotechnology. And now I'm in the process of writing and finishing, actually, the third book in the series, which is totally about synthetic biology and transhumanism as they relate to nanotechnology and the Space Fence Lockdown. And the working title, I'm going to pull that up right here. The working title I have for the book is, wait for it, while I find it.
Yeah, and like you said, everything is becoming so small, just like all the new Doppler radars, the NEXRADs. A lot of them have been upgraded with the $7 billion upgrades, and now they're all phased array. They're just like mini HAARPs all over the place.
Yes.
Putting them up.
Mini HAARPs, exactly. Just like 5G is. And if rumor is true from someone whose name I can't mention, if it's true, then we actually have the phased array antenna already in the 4G. All right, so the name, working title of the coming book is Transhumanist Lockstep, Geoengineering and the Wireless Nightmare of Nanotechnology, Synthetic Biology, and Targeting. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm a little crazy right now, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm working all day, every day on this because I have a deadline for November with my publisher, and I really want this book to be my last book on this particular topic of the chemical trails, the ionospheric heaters, the space fence lockdown, the 5G Internet of Things lockstep that they are drawing us into, and that plugging us into would be more appropriate to say. So I have shifted my gaze from the weather. Not that it isn't important. I always check the weather here. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. I'm in the place that I like to call the cauldron. This is where, when they move the weather systems, the moisture systems up from the South Pacific along the coast, bypassing California, of course, usually, and dumping some rain on Oregon and then some up here in Washington State. I watched the setup of the clouds. I watched them laying the clouds yesterday and knew they were going to give us some rain. So up here, hardly anyone knows this is going on. It's a very left Democrat area, I would say, of people who really aren't looking up and really aren't doing much analytical thinking at all of what their perceptions are telling them. And so I'm pretty alone up here. Don't really have anyone to talk to, so I get on radio shows and it's like, oh, old friend week. I'm now talking to many people who also are studying all of these signs and wonders of an era that obviously is not the era of yesteryear. And I think that's really important. I always want to emphasize that. I perceive the large picture of what's going on now with the geoengineered weather and all the geoengineering. And I always follow Clifford Carnicom, the independent scientist, 2005 system, though I have tweaked many of the terms. He foresaw in 2005 7 basic operations going on under the name of geoengineering, and that includes the weather engineering, the chemical and electromagnetic atmospheric operations. That would include many plasma experiments going on above our heads. I can watch them sometimes. Planetary and geophysical operations, which would be what some people might call terraforming, where, it's as simple as when Hurricane Katrina down at the international port at the mouth of the Mississippi River redid the port, trashed it, moved all the poor out so they would never see their homes again, and then now it's being restructured. And then also Hurricane Sandy at the ports of New Jersey and New York, trashed those ports, moved all the poor out, and refurbishing that, all the way to California, Paradise, California, really in burning down whole areas with various weapons, space weapons, and in order to restructure those places as well. So we have a lot of that going on. Then the fourth operation, is directed energy warfare operations, and that includes all sorts of weapons here on the ground and up in the stratosphere. Going on under C4, that's command, control, communications, and cyber warfare. Then we have the surveillance neural operations. That would be what people might call mind control from space, and triangulation here on the Earth. And the nanotechnology is very involved in that. And then the biological transhumanism operations, in which we are being changed biologically, and that includes our brain and consciousness, remotely by means of sensors, microprocessors, and other electro-optical technology on the nanoscale. This is the most reprehensible, in my mind, the hardest to see. In fact, you cannot see it. You are going to have to follow the research of people like me, because you are not being told the truth about the nanotechnology and how extensively it has been developed and what the plans are for it with the 5G Internet of Things and the smart cities. And then finally, we have the seventh operation, and that is the most enigmatic in a way, and that is the detection and obscuration of exotic propulsion craft. We have had people seeing some craft in the cloud cover, the plasma cloud cover now that we have, which is not the same clouds that we used to have, which are basically moisture and particulate clouds. These are plasma creations. And, you can sometimes see, especially triangular craft, hiding in the clouds and even producing their own plasma. So all of this is going on. It is all about, to me, the secret space program that investment analyst Catherine Austin-Fitz has done the number crunching to see that it isn't just $21 trillion that is missing from the American budget. It is $60 trillion missing. And much of it has been poured into this secret program that has very big plans for the future. And we are one of the plans because we can look at it in a variety of ways. But I like to start with the possibility, you try to get into the shoes of the enemy in order to see how they're thinking, how they're setting everything up. And it appears to me that they are one of the most disturbing aspects to the secret space program devotees at NASA and all the different departments that are, like, I especially think of the NGA, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. What they're all a bit upset over is that these radiation belts above the planet still make it very difficult to get the vulnerable human being beyond those radiation belts and still alive and not completely devastated by the radiation. They were blasting the Van Allen belts to Kingdom Come back in the 50s. And they even stupidly made yet another radiation belt with this blasting away. But they want a human being who can be somehow what they call a BCI or a BMI, a brain-computer interface, a brain-machine interface. And then that updated, enhanced human being, if indeed it is a human being anymore, can then make it through the Van Allen belts, that's one thing, and then be able to communicate with what they are assuming the higher intelligence entities of this solar system and the galaxy will be sort of AI semblances, can also communicate with them. So it seems very logical to them that they want to create a human being who is more of a cyborg, not just an androgen, but a cyborg, the brain-computer interface. And so that program, it's not really one program, it's many, but that overarching commitment to the BCI model of a human being is well underway now. And we see bits and snippets of it in the news. But meanwhile, we are all still breathing what is falling down with the chemical trails, whether you choose to see it as simply from the combustion chamber of the jet fuel, like the iron oxide and other ingredients. And Jim Lee is a very big expert on what's in the fuel. You can choose to see that, or you can see it as a supplementary system, or you can see it as separate drones are programmed to lay chemicals that have to do with the transhumanist agenda, not just with jet fuel and economizing and all of that. So I really feel that there was a time when I was in doubt, this was years ago, as to whether what we're breathing is simply collateral damage from the secret space program. They've got to have an ionized sky, an atmosphere. Here in the troposphere, they've got to have it also in the stratosphere, because they're running all kinds of wireless communications and chemical and certainly nano experiments, all with the space age in mind, not particularly anything to increase the consciousness of human beings, protect the health of human beings, further the evolution of human beings. No. All of that is, yes, I thought it was collateral damage, but the truth is that we are being made to breathe very specific things so that we become the hosts and test tubes and petri dishes of a variety of specimens that have been genetically engineered. And that would be one of the ones you've probably heard of, Mike, is the Morgellons. Certainly Morgellons is one of the ones, and it's one of the early pathogens that was genetically engineered and that we have become the host of. And Clifford Carnicom has done the lion's share of work on that. And then many other people now, particularly Morgellon sufferers, have taken up the gauntlet as well and are studying, using themselves as the test tube and the petri dish for their own discoveries as to what makes them better, what makes them worse, and certainly one of the things that cannot be contested is that the Morgellons and other entities that we have breathed in and that we are hosting in our bodies and brains are very sensitive to wireless technology. And that wireless technology, turning the world wireless, was a really huge, huge move to make sure that we would have an atmosphere that everyone and all of life could be plugged into, literally. And that has to be maintained now at this point in the evolution of that technology of keeping the atmosphere ionized, almost like a mini ionosphere. They have to keep dumping all these conductive heavy metals that are on a nano scale. And for people who don't know, 1 nano equals 1 billionth of a meter. Very, very tiny. You cannot see them. And these nanobots, these nano sensors, the microprocessors, the pathogens, even fungi from the upper atmosphere, all of this is being dumped in the stratosphere, and then much of it filtering down to us, and we breathe it in, and it goes, in fact, I was just reading an article today, writing my section on magnetism, about how when we breathe in the nanoparticles, they go through the olfactory bulb up our nose and straight to our brain. because they can easily, given how tiny they are, bypass the blood-brain barrier. So we have no protection in our brain for this technology that the military-industrial intelligence complex has seen fit to inundate us with for the last 2 decades minimum. And so I don't know. I kind of like to say that this is, now I'm at the crux of why I work so hard. I mean, yeah, weather warfare and controlling the weather without telling the people that you are controlling the weather, that's a big enough sin in itself to have turned the weather that used to be for thousands, maybe millions of years, our relationship with Mother Nature, and the wind and the rain and the snow and the sun, all of these cosmic elements that we were on such friendly terms with that, sometimes, yes, we would have a catastrophe. There would be an earthquake and many people would die. Yes, but this was rare. This was very rare. And now that the weather is, in my mind, completely controlled, it's not a matter of, oh, was this natural and was this engineered? No, it's all engineered. I have not seen any weather that I would call natural. I suppose if I lived down in the South Pacific, I would see some moisture systems arising on their own, and that would be very refreshing. I would love to see that. But it's not just the weather that is the culpability of this sociopathic regime that actually has the hubris to want to control the galaxy. It's like, what? I mean, just and to use us in boosting toward that end, and then introducing, and this is in chapter 3 of the Under an Ionized Sky, introducing the nanotechnology to Congress in 2002, just to have it rubber stamp it. No experiments, no long studies to see the impact of nanotechnology on human beings, on their consciousness, on their health, on their immune systems. No, nothing like that. Everything in a hurry, everything, let's just see what happens. And so now we're stuck with it. I mean, this nano stuff is everywhere. It's not just in our brain. It's in food. It's in all packaged food. No question about it. It's in clothing, new clothing. It's in that new car smell that everybody likes. It's in that smell. It's in everything I can possibly think of. So we are breathing that every day. So that's with the conductive metals. The conductive metals make it very serious for immediate health. And so I'm highly recommending to people that they have regular, and when I say regular, I'm thinking minimum once a month, regular purges to get nano-sized particles, entities, whatever you want to call it, out of the body. And so that may require a hair analysis. You may want to see what your heavy metal numbers are, especially what is in your area, because not every area has the same chemical mix, because they are dealing with geomagnetics, and every area has different geomagnetics, and they want to really find out as much as they can about all the areas on the earth as to what constitutes the doctrine of full spectrum dominance all the way down. And so, yes, nanotech, that would be Tony Pantalaresco. I always recommend him. Tony is is pursuing this with a vengeance. Has an engineering background. He is experimenting with all kinds of ways to get nanotech out of our bodies. I myself do the baths. I do the, at least once a week, I do the Epsom salt, sea salt, borax bath, which is a very nice combination to get the polymer sheen off of your skin that you probably don't even know you have, open up those pores so that the nanotech can come out. Can I see them? Can I see them, the little guys swimming away in my bath? No, I can't see them. But if you do the bath several times in a row and have the bathroom dark and have a good flashlight and turn it on, you will see a scum forming on the surface of the water. So this is real, and it's weird, isn't it? Because I'm telling you it's real, but you cannot see it. You cannot put it under your microscope if you have one. You would not be able to see it unless you had a very high-powered electron microscope, which costs a fortune. And that's very very convenient for the masters of the universe, that they can have a technology that we can't really check. And if we're waiting for the experts to come forward and tell us, well, that's a problem, because many of them are forced to sign non-disclosure agreements. Many of them are threatened with career loss, with death, with family problems, whatever it is. I think that many scientists who are aware of just about everything I've said are really caught between a rock and a hard place. I don't know what to say to them other than your conscience must be your guide, no matter what your decision might be. And as far as other things we can do, I always recommend to people that to learn about how the technology works is essential, so that you can, forewarned is forearmed in a way, in the sense that you know how it works, you know what you're facing, even though you can't see it, you can't analyze it, you can't dissect it in front of you, you know how it works, you make an assumption that it is happening, and then you try different tacts to counter it. This is what all of us are doing who are now awake. And, people are waking up every day. I've seen thousands awaken in the last 2 to 3 years. It's a really remarkable number of people are finally waking up. And the idea that we have this tiny world operant in our bodies and brains might be very disturbing to people. It might give you the creepy crawlies. Sometimes you can even feel some of these entities moving around under your skin. And but we've had parasites and microbes for many, many, many centuries. I mean, our gut has worked very well with a certain balance of microbes that serve in our digestive and assimilation processes. So it's not entirely foreign to us that we are hosting very tiny entities that normally we don't notice. The difference here is, this is a very big difference. The difference is that this technology can be remotely communicated with and programmed and reprogrammed. So what I'm saying is, many of these nanobots, nanobot means a nanorobot, they have microprocessors in them, very, very tiny, tiny computers, which make them transceivers. They also have sensors. They have sensor programming. So they are gathering data for this big data push that, is everywhere. They are gathering data inside our bodies, on our scalps, in our brain, and that can all be harvested by remote fusion centers, by what I like to call the laptop boys in Colorado Springs. This is the Internet of Things, really. Yes, your washing machine and your dishwasher and your cell phone and your car and all your gewgaws, they're all involved in it too. They're all on board. They're all on the Internet. But also you have this other military industrial intelligence layer that you can't see because you don't have access to the specs of those frequencies that they do. They have the frequencies by which they can harvest data from the nanobots inside people's bodies, animals' bodies, soil, water, everything. Because what I'm saying is the entire environment of the Earth, just as Dr. Rosalie Bertell foresaw, has been weaponized. And so what once was the cradle of nature is now captive to a wireless technology that seeks to dominate every level of life. And if that means that some levels of life don't make it and are no longer alive, well, so be it. Because the full spectrum dominance is essential to the secret space program and those who serve it. And this goes back to, I like to mention this, I read Joseph P. Farrell's book, Covert Wars and Breakaway Civilizations, written in 2012, in which he spells out the Soviet astronomer Nikolai Kardashev's 3 phases of technological achievement that any civilization aspiring to a real space age must achieve. And the first phase is full spectrum dominance, planetary control. And that doesn't just mean, military things, right? Soldiers, arsenals. No, it means the entire planet. This is very, very important to us who don't suffer from megalomania as much as our masters do. This sounds insane, but it is what is being pursued. Kardashev then went on to say the second phase, and I think we've already begun working on that in tandem with the first, is control over one's star and its systems. And our star is our sun, and, I keep hearing about solar minimum and solar flares and CMEs and all these things. All of that is to be controlled and utilized by those who understand how those natural cosmic processes work, and to be able to then turn them into anthropomorphized processes that can be controlled for domination. And then the third phase Kardashev mentioned, which really now we're in the realm of insanity, is control over one's galaxy and its systems. So this is how far. I'm serious. I've done a lot of work on these guys, looking to see how they think, really, really concentrating on a very different kind of human being from myself. This is what their objectives are. And so if we have that as a backdrop or a context, we can then examine all these things that really, amazingly, are connected. Okay, so weather, this is kind of like that song, the knee bone is connected to the shin bone, is connected to each thing is connected to the next. So let's take the geoengineering and the weather engineering. Now, connected to that is the nanotechnology I mentioned, and particularly, let's look at the aluminum. I mean, you can look at any of them, but the aluminum is particularly pernicious in that it's also connected to the vaccinations that are producing harm in our new human beings just arriving on planet Earth to have wonderful, great lives. Many people I know are working very hard on the vaccination issue, but it is connected to the geoengineering. It's not just the aluminum in the vaccination that is producing the problem. It's the aluminum we're all breathing in every single day, and all the time in utero. These infants have already been breathing that in through the umbilicus from their mothers. And the mothers often are holding the cell phones and chatting away to their best friend. And so these infants are also in utero suffering from radio frequency and microwaves without the mother's knowledge, because she has not been educated regarding this technology that big fat corporations that are actually military contractors are making a fortune from. So there's the vaccinations, there's the radio frequency and the microwaves of wireless technology. Name anything. GMOs. Let's go for that. GMOs are connected too. We already know that Monsanto had an aluminum-resistant seed already in the making before any of this particular program started 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So you know, what is in the GMOs? What has been done to them to support this transhumanist move of breaking down our immune system? Most people I know eat genetically modified foods and think it doesn't matter. I mean, this is a point of contention between Tony Pantalaresco and me as well. I've been eating organic for 50 years. And does it show? Well, I think so. Everything works. I'm 72 years old. I haven't been to a doctor since I was 13. I don't really have any need for the medical establishment. I certainly didn't vaccinate my children. I lied through my teeth every time I had to, no problem. So does the GMO food contribute? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It's acid producing. Acid producing leads to Morgellons. Morgellons loves acid, hates alkalinity. So you know, you name anything that has to do with health, and I can lead you straight to geoengineering, because this geoengineering piece has been laid upon us to undermine our immune system so that we can be so-called enhanced remotely through the nanotechnology that we have been breathing in for 20 years. Are you beginning to see the picture here? This is very, very serious. Not only is this a human rights crime, this is a crime beyond belief. That, you know, it's like when I have to really somberly face what I'm up against in the writing books. I mean, think about it, Mike. I mean, you do videos, and videos are certainly the way to go today. I write books. I don't do videos. Nobody reads. People can't concentrate anymore. And they went through this terrible American school system which taught them to hate reading and hate knowledge and see it all as arbitrary. Nothing really is a foundation stone here. It's all just an opinion, just a personal opinion. So, why do I write these books? Because we have to consolidate what we know. And, this is kind of crazy because as I'm writing, everything's changing. I mean, they're bringing this technology online so fast that where could I go to get a PhD in this subject? Where could I go? Well, there is nowhere, because it is being pumped so fast that we have to put the pieces together ourselves, because, well, there are a lot of military papers and patents online. There's a lot of data, as Jim Lee has certainly proved. He's found a lot of it, and he's shared some of it with me, and I'm very grateful. There is so much data that people are just overwhelmed by the data. It's just too much. And now I'm telling you that all these things are connected to geoengineering. Well, that's overwhelming too. Like, how can I get a handle on this? I mean, at least in World War II, we were taught to hate the Nazis. So we kind of knew, yeah, okay, it's Nazis. But now, all our institutions are criminal, from the city level to the county level to the state level to the federal level to the international level. I mean, yes, it is a desperate time. And if people tell you this is a wonderful time to be alive, well, I agree. I'm thrilled to be alive now, Mike. I mean, I'm a warrior. Could I have asked for a more challenging, complex fight? I don't think so. It's taxing, my intellect is pretty damn good. It's taxing me to the max to really paint a picture of how this big thing, machine Earth, works for these megalomaniacs. And in the studying of it and the trying to prepare the public for how to study too how it works, to build mental pictures of seeing how this is working for a lockdown, not just on the planet, but on our own human evolution. It may sound like, well, okay, but, who wants to know that much and get all depressed? But unless we know our circumstance, how can we counter it really wisely? Get emotional? I don't think so. I don't think that's going to help us. Go kill some guy at the top of some pyramid of power? No, I don't think that's going to work either. Move to an island? I'm constantly asked by people, where can I move to, Elana, to get away from this? Truthfully, I don't think there's anywhere to move, because this is our fight. This is our watch. But we need to get a little sharper and stop wringing our hands and stop oohing and eyeing over the latest terrible weather, the latest Damien coming down the road. This is something that we're in an era of transition. What worked yesterday as far as political activism, I don't see it working now, because I'm too aware of how easy it is to pulse us. We can be pulsed through our cell phones. By the way, I don't own one. We can be pulsed through our cell phones to have any emotion whatsoever. Want anger in the streets, like in Hong Kong? No problem. Just broadcast it. You want to just affect one person in a crowd? No problem. Pulse them with that frequency, for that emotion, for that thought. Like those shooters, those kids that are forced to shoot others and then end up suicided themselves. This is a technology from hell. There is nothing good I can say about it, nothing redeeming. But it is our challenge to face this time and decide on how we're going to face it, how we're going to stand our watch in this era. And each of us has to decide individually. There is no proven way to do this. But what we can do is really learn as much as we can about how it works. Just like Mike and everybody else is doing, a lot of people are studying the weather and doing amazing weather reports. I mean, isn't it a joke that there are even meteorologists on mainstream media? What are they doing? They're like comedians or something. They're certainly not doing weather reports.
Yeah, they're just
reading their cue cards.
Exactly. We call them the salad boy actors. It is, as you were talking about. Yeah, I think we're all here for a reason. Like you said, we're here to fight. I follow the signs, spiritual signs, which guided me into doing this. I mean, I was totally asleep. I had no desire to do what I do now, but then I followed these little signs that I got, and I just happened to be talking to a preacher on a phone, and he just told me, the time's now. You know what you need to do. And, I mean, just out of the blue, we were talking about something totally different, and I just started getting these cold chills, and from that day on, then I started noticing things. I started seeing all the signs around me, and just followed the signs, and that's how I am where I'm at now. I know the fight's going on, and I don't have a lot of time, so I just try to do what I can to help. I have kids and grandkids. They're all awake. They know what's going on, and hopefully once I'm gone, they'll step in and keep trying to fight the fight. I don't think people realize, they've been
That's great.
dooming the earth, ever since, putting dams in and steering the rivers on the ground. Then they go to steering the rivers of the sky. And now they're steering, the stuff in space. They want to completely control everything. And, if it wasn't for people like you and Billy Hayes, I know he's out there in the chat out there. I see him out there. Like, we're all here for a reason. We are all put here. We all have our duties. And that's why I always tell everybody, you are the resistance. You have to be an activist. You have to join the fight, because there's a lot more of us than there is them. I mean, that's just what it boils down to.
Yes. And your signs, I want to comment on that. That, it may seem that we're alone, but, from my vantage point, and I have a definite inner spiritual life, and it's personal, yes, but all of my public life comes out of that personal inner life. And I know beyond the shadow of a doubt that we are not alone in this fight. We have allies on the other side, I call it, whether they're dead people who know what's going on, like my friends Rosalind Peterson, Rosalie Bertel. They know what's going on. They are here as support. And there are other higher beings. The materialism that has come like a blight over the United States since the 19th century. You can hate Christianity all you want. You can hate Judaism. You can hate Islam. These are all organized religions that were here as a backbone for periods of history when people needed a reminder that they are not just pieces of meat. They are not just here as placeholders, living meaningless lives. That is not how this works. But we have had masters now for quite a long time who have controlled the media and have controlled the educational system and made it seem as if this is it. This is all there is. You are alone. You do not have any, there's no such thing as a ridiculous spiritual world. There's no such thing as the dead still being conscious beyond death. All of these things that are personal, yes, you have to come to terms with them yourself, and that's your prerogative. And in fact, that's one of the big reasons I fight so hard, is I do not want your nanobots being manipulated remotely to make you think that this is all there is a piece of meat and blood transfusions from the young and cannibalism. Why would I want you to have no choice, even if you choose to do something I would not agree with? I don't care. I want the choice. And that's what this nation once stood for with its Bill of Rights. Yes, it was a political choice, but that First Amendment is way beyond politics. I don't know. Have you really looked at it? I mean, I love that First Amendment that now is pretty much confetti. But that First Amendment is a real spiritual amendment of liberation and freedom, that you can say what you have to say, you can think what you have to think, you can choose to believe the religious belief you choose to believe in, you can write the thing you feel people should read. This amendment was so great. It is really what this nation stood for, and look what's happened. Yes, we all went to sleep. I personally, I'm not going to include myself in that. I was a 60s radical activist. I have not gone to sleep all these years. I have stayed awake and just moved from issue to issue in figuring out where best to put my skills for the future. And that's how we all need to look at it. Where can you put your skills? If it's with your family, it's with your family. If it's with your community, it's with your community. However it is, each of us has come here with a gift, and we must not bow to this conditioning, because the reason I'm really spending more time on this, on what I call preaching in a way, than on the technology and the data that I really love and love to talk about, is that we really, wait till you see the 5G assault. Just wait till you see that. And has it begun? Yes, it's already begun. In some areas, it's stronger than in others. It's already happening. They keep telling us they're planning this in a couple of years, and no, it's all being rolled out now. But what I want to prepare you for is that with this nanotech in your bodies, you've got to really become a good observer of your own thoughts and your own emotions and your own whatever might be manipulating you that doesn't really sound like you. Hey, this is not the way I usually think. What's going on? This is not, is that my feeling? Where did that come from? Why am I suddenly feeling desperate? Everything's going fine. Those sorts of things. I want you to really question whatever's being pulsed, because that will be what is happening. And so the other issue, of course, is the doctors, the medical establishment. What are you going to do about that conditioning that you've received that, oh, I've got the flu, I'll go to the doctor. Or, other than a broken bone, truthfully, I don't see any reason to go to a doctor. There are many other options. But it means taking full responsibility for your health instead of giving that responsibility to the medical industry. That has not served us very well. And, I studied Chinese medicine when I was a young woman. I became very fascinated by it, learned a lot, and have been able to use that all these years rather than go to doctors. But however you do it, you need to take a good look at your conditioning and start to dismantle it so that you can take over the power of your own lives. Because when this 5G Internet of Things, 60 hertz in the wall thing gets going, I don't know where you're going to run and hide. I really don't. I do know this, that consciousness, to have a really firm consciousness and an inner life that gives you tremendous backbone in that consciousness, will not be easy to overthrow for this technology. Not at all. So that's where I'm putting my bet, is we have never really, as a human species, as an American, as Americans dedicated to freedoms, we have never really tested out consciousness as a true defense. And that's what I'm asking for now everywhere I go to speak, every radio show I'm on. I'm asking that you really take cognizance of what is your conditioning and what is true, and be willing to have the courage to admit to having been wrong about things like vaccinating your children. Whatever it is, you're going to have to do some research. You can't just go and say, oh, well, Elana Freeland said this, or well, Mike Morales said that. You've got to do your own homework and really start taking a look at all these different technologies, along with decisions you're making to interact with them, such as the medical industry, the big pharma industry. Whatever it is, it needs a second look, and maybe a third, and some analysis, and really get that thinking apparatus go. If you still own a television, you might think about that. I've never owned a television, not once. It's because these are weapons. Cell phones, telephones. Telephones too, but I have to have a landline. Television, my computer. I've got to have a computer because I write books, and I also make my living from writing other people's books. So I have to have a computer. But otherwise, take a good look at every piece of technology you opt for to put your money into. Maybe you do love entertainment. Maybe take a good look at that, at the entertainment element. What is entertaining? Can you have an entertainment that you learn from too at the same time, given how time is so limited now and things are moving so fast? You see how I'm getting to is this really looking things over now, not freaking out, not the oh my God, there's nowhere to hide. No, let's take this day by day, minute by minute, in order to see how we're going to make our stand. This is our watch. We are not here by accident. We chose to be here now, and we have each other. The chemtrails movement, the anti-geoengineering movement, whatever you want to call it, on the internet. We've been amazing. We have our little bickering bits and pieces, but it's been amazing because it's a democratic movement. I now have a site of 4,000 members, and they do amazing research and share it and discuss things. No name calling, no silly comments, but really getting down to the brass tacks of the technology, of all the different aspects to the technology that I mentioned. This is what democracy is becoming now, is the serious-minded taking a really good look at technology that yes, is amazing, amazing. And I constantly say to myself, these masters of the universe at NASA and at Cape Kennedy and etc. They are doing amazing things. It makes me wonder what they're in alliance with, actually. So I'm not sure about that, but I am very impressed with how well they've thought this whole thing through, all the way to AI, all the way to infesting us with nanobots that can be programmed remotely. That's pretty clever, pretty clever. But it's time for us to awaken and take up our own weapons of consciousness in order to meet this latest, biggest, I think, ever, this biggest challenge that we have now.
Yeah, exactly. And man, I gotta agree with everything you said. And one thing I did want to kind of go back to is when I say spiritual signs, I'm not talking about going to a church or nothing like that. It's all within us. And
yes,
that's what I think people don't realize. You have to search inside yourself, and the help is there. So, I mean, I definitely.
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead there.
Well, I think it's what I meant, Mike, that these organized religions, not at all judging them, they have had a huge role in human development. But the reason that they're sort of drifting away now, in a sense, it seems to me, is that yes, there is something individual that has to come forward. And I certainly am glad that people have places to go to fellowship with people of similar beliefs. I've had that from time to time in life as well. But there's the really important part is the individual, because we're born alone, we die alone, and in between we meet many people, and many of those people have very different beliefs from ours and test us. And we have a huge life. And I've had a very huge life I'm really grateful for. And, at times I was lost, and then I found myself, and then I was lost again, and I found the whole drama of youth, midlife, it's parenting, everything is essential. And when that spirit comes knocking, it generally is not when you're with your group that has all the same belief. It's generally when you're off on your own and you hear that call, you hear that knock from whatever it is. And I don't need to name it. I have no desire to name it, actually. But then you decide, according to your conscience, is this something that I can obey? I mean, especially now when we have a technology called voice to skull, V2K, which can send all manner of spiritual messages to people electromagnetically. We need to become very discerning of from whence these messages come, more than ever. Because a lot of people in organized religions and large religious beliefs, it would be very easy to use that technology in such an environment as a church or a temple, or so I just want to bring that in because targeted individuals are very high on my list. As far as people who are giving me a lot of information about a lot of the directed energy weapons being experimented with on citizens, on American citizens. I would say conservatively that 1.5 million Americans are being targeted with directed energy weapons in the name of experimentation and training Homeland Security agents. That's what I would say. I've definitely spent a lot of time on this area to figure out what is going on. Why are these people being mercilessly targeted? But one of the things to be careful of is, yes, the spiritual epiphany, God speaking to us about something that we should do. That's all that stuff really needs to be thought through thoroughly, because the technology is there to really make a vast pretense that could lead you into a vast mistake.
Right, just like the voice of God technology that they are already showing off. You know, they used it over in the Iraq War.
In Iraq. Yeah, that was it. That was voice to skull. Or they also call it synthetic telepathy.
So that's why I kind of keep everything within myself, you know. I do have a Bible and I read that, but I mean, I'm just saying, you know, to really get the answers, you'll find them within, and you'll get the signs. I mean, they're plain as day once you open your eyes to the signs. You just have to follow them. You have to know to look.
Yeah, and it has to be the individual who does that. It's not a matter of finding the right collective to make decisions for you. No, we have been in the era of the individual since the 1500s. To my mind, I'm a historian, so, you know, that's about when the individual came forth as being something very special and needing development and needing a good education and needing to really make good decisions regarding all the typical things of a life, family, society, job, etc. But the individual has to decide what is going on in their inner life, what those voices are, what they're telling you. Is it something that you feel is really from some sort of higher dimension or your higher self that knows more than you do? No, I would never presume to tell anyone what they should believe, because I have found my own path. I mean, it's precious how individual it is. It's absolutely amazing how you're in a challenging situation. You're maybe depressed. You know, maybe there's a divorce going on. Maybe there's, you know, a child that is, you don't know what's going on with them. And then, you know, suddenly something comes in and you can see better and you have the courage to live another day and another week and another month. I mean, this is why I would never recommend taking medication from Big Pharma for any of the moods and depressions and etc. Because first of all, I don't trust Big Pharma. I know they're using people as guinea pigs, and they do not do testing other than when they release something and then they see what happens. It's the typical scientism way of doing things today that I despise, using people as guinea pigs. So this is something we can talk to people. We can find a way through our moods. And it's something to be aware of, that you can even be pulsed with a mood that is literally not yours. So, you know, it's a very strange era in which the technology has a tremendous potential power over the individual. We need to really take that into account.
Right, and I just lost my train of thought. Oh, what I was going to say something about the. I know I had it right there, that it just went away. But what I was going to say is the pharmaceutical companies, they're not trying to cure anybody. They're trying to hide or mask the feelings that you have. So you have to. All they're doing is hiding. Your body's trying to tell you something, and all they're doing is hiding it. You have to find out, you know, what is causing...
Right. Addicting you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think where I saw that, I don't know if you followed it, Mike, but back in the 90s, when when Belgium, in Brussels, there was a pedophilia ring that was caught through a guy named Marc Dutroux, much like Jeffrey Epstein. Marc Dutroux was a pimp for the elites, and he was kidnapping children and prepping them for elite gatherings of pedophiles and satanic rites. I mean, it was really ugly. And I remember getting tears in my eyes when I read that a million Belgians showed up in the streets outside the government in Brussels over that. A million people. I mean, all at once. I thought, wow, Belgians, wow, they just went up on my list. And when I started looking into the facts of the case, as you know, the devil's in the details, looking at the facts of Marc Dutroux and the children and the places they remembered and who was at these events, it was all big pharma families. It was all big pharma, like the ones that made out like bandits after the World War II. I mean, that would include Bayer, that just bought Monsanto. Bayer was right there. Sandoz, IG Farben, Eli Lilly. It was all big pharma families who were involved in this terrible pedophilia and satanic ritual. I was like, wow, okay, I'm not going to forget that. And I haven't. I have not forgotten that. And I have talked to people who've been on antidepressants, and some of them have had horrific hallucinatory experiences of monsters devouring. I mean, it's like, what is going on with these drugs? What is big pharma doing with these antidepressants and antipsychotics that I don't know about? And why are these people suffering so much? And then trying to come off of those drugs is another horror. So no, I don't trust any of it.
Yeah, and I can actually speak firsthand on some of them. Before, I was awake to anything, they had me on these Simavations for high blood pressure. They had me on these Xanax. And the first thing I started noticing is I was losing my memory. And that was coming from the
Yes.
high blood pressure message. And then the Xanax basically just makes you not care. You don't care about anything. And that's what they want. They want you docile. They don't want you to care about anything. And, as soon as I got off and
Did you have trouble?
I didn't have any kind of side effects or none other than just memory loss and noticing that I didn't care. Then I'd be in a bad mood the next day, I immediately was like, this ain't for me, so. But yeah, I found out pretty quickly, and then I started researching and found out, wow, yeah, there's a lot of people that's getting the same thing. Then it comes out years later that they're bad for you.
Right. How long did it take you before you were you again?
Oh, probably.
Any idea?
Probably about 6 months. It took a long time. And I was on them for
Wow.
maybe 6 months, so it took me about 6 months to get cleared back out. Yeah, I was wondering, why am I having such a hard time concentrating and thinking and forgetting stuff? Like, I didn't dream. I couldn't have dreams anymore. I mean, it was weird. But yeah, so
and again, I know I sound like I'm paranoid, but I admit that paranoia is my sixth sense. I use it whenever I need it, and sometimes it has protected me from perhaps harm's way. But I really feel that this assault on the human being is not just coming from commercialism and greed, corporate greed. Yes, there are those, and there are those players in corporations who are satisfied simply with gobbling up a bunch of money. But there are others in these corporate setups who very much are assaulting the human being, period, and have big dreams of changing the human being to something more like a machine, especially the slave class. And so, that's how it's sort of one of the lenses that I put on now and then in order to look at what it means that people are doing this, such as these antidepressants and antipsychotics. What is really going on? I tend to doubt just about everything that first comes to my mind, unless it's a really spot-on intuition, and then I will probably hold to that. But we've all been conditioned so much to think, oh, it's for our good, and they just didn't know what that would do to that teenager that went and shot up his school. They didn't know about that antipsychotic or antidepressant. They didn't know what it would do. Well, I'm not convinced that they didn't know. You see what I mean? I'm really not anymore. The level of evil is extraordinary. And part of the problem, I think, in America anyway, which I'm most familiar with, I lived in England for a few years, but I was still pretty much an outsider there. And but in America, I've been here all my life. I would say that where materialism, thinking that everything is just something surface and it's just it's in this physical world, that's all that exists, and we're all alone. That whole thing has really set us up to make bad decisions and to allow institutions to determine our lives to a very great extent. And really what we need is to really keep as much of our individual lives as we possibly can, even if we're screwing up. I mean, it's our life. We're here to have an earth experience and to understand what we did wrong and to fix that, or even if it's very painful. It doesn't matter. It's got to be ours, is sort of how I'm looking at it. And it just seems like people are trusting institutions way too much. I certainly don't trust them. I mean, I have like 3 bills I owe per month. Will I go out and get into debt for other things in order to then owe more than 3 institutions per month? No, I won't. I really want it to be minimal, as minimal as possible. And then, then I know that this is my life, I'm not here for the institutions. I mean, that must sound bizarre to people, because we're so accustomed to institutions. But truthfully, I am not impressed by institutions at all. Not at all. Once in a while, a pretty good one. I went to St. John's College for grad school in New Mexico, and I loved that college. I thought they did an excellent job. That's very rare that I see an institution that's not criminal or greedy or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it okay that we're wandering all over the place here? Is that okay, Mike?
What's that?
Because is it okay that we're sort of wandering around looking at how really we're spending most of our time on how people are living in order to face this era of tremendous technology that's controlling our weather and just about to control all of our thoughts and our intentions. To really spend time on people's individual decisions, so that they can begin to grapple with getting hold of themselves and being able to counter all of these assaults on our humanity. That's my hope, and I'm turning more and more to that, because yes, I can impress people with how much I know about technology, but I don't know that that's really speaking to the problem of people feeling helpless, feeling overwhelmed, lack of self-esteem, lack of self-confidence, not knowing which way to turn. I mean, all that's what I find myself gravitating toward that, to encourage people. And I don't know that I should be doing that. Should I just be doing the technology? I mean, I love doing the technology. What do you think?
Man, it all needs to be talked about. It's just that,
Yeah.
Like you said, like when people first begin to wake up, you realize people are going to think you're nuts. People are going to, you're going to lose a lot of friends, but you have to just keep on pushing. And because we're running out of time to get people to rise up. And that's why I play a song called Rise every night, to try to get people motivated. I mean, people need to be motivated because the government's definitely not going to help us whatsoever. I mean, they're all these alphabet gangs out here. They're not what they appear to be on the outside. Everything is corrupt.
Exactly.
So
yes,
just got to do what we can. I mean, that's what I do. Like, I just give the time I can give and hope it helps. That's the way I look at it.
Right.
Somebody's got to take our place. Because, like you said, a lot of us have been targeted. I've been targeted. I think they actually injected me with cancer, with prostate cancer. So I had to battle that.
Could very well do that.
I mean, I'm 100% positive that's how I got it, because I went from nothing to so bad that, the doctor said, well, you're going to die if you don't have this operation. And I've never been to the doctor back since the operation. So, and I'm doing fine. But yeah, I won't take any medications. I'm done with all that. One of the worst experiences in my life.
What were you doing? What were you doing at the time you were targeted?
I was actually doing what I'm doing now, and that was the first go around. This is actually my second channel. My first channel, I was doing it, and then that happened, and then I quit for 2 years. It took me quite a while to recover from the surgery I had, and then for something just kept telling me, hey, you need to keep spreading the word no matter what. And then once I started doing that again, things started looking up, and when everything was looking down, now everything is looking up. Everything is working better. I mean, I just noticed everything is like, my whole life has gotten better now by going back, getting the information out that I can come up with, and just trying to help people, because I know I'm not going to be here a long time, so I have to do my part. It's like my duty.
Mm-hmm. And what year was that when the targeting happened?
That was around 2017.
Okay.
2016, 2017.
Yeah, because Clifford Carnicom and I have decided that, I'm going to write a draft of a public statement about activists who are frontline activists being targeted, because we have a lot who have been targeted. Not all of them want their names in, and I won't use names at all in what I'm writing, but I'm going to describe scenarios so that people can understand what it looks like when someone is being targeted. I mean, I can use an example right away. And I feel all right about using this example, even though I can't contact him anymore, is Michael Murphy. And Michael Murphy was one of our primary activists in the early days of this movement. And Michael was the director, the film person who did What in the World Are They Spraying? and why in the world are they spraying? And he was almost done with his third film when suddenly he just went wacko. And he went wacko on Facebook, a lot of strange comments. I recognized it right away because he had had some drugs in his background. He was immediately, everybody said he was on drugs, and yet I knew that it was not the drugs that we were seeing, it was targeting. And so we lost him to the streets of Inglewood, California. And the film, almost done, as I said, sits in limbo because he has the rights. So, that happened, and I can honestly say on Facebook that everybody just turned away. Everybody just turned the other direction.
I remember
and
all that. I had him on one of my old shows a long time ago, like four or 5 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, Michael he's an exceptional person, and I knew him. And okay, drugs. Yeah, we all have our weaknesses. We all do. And we who protect activists need to take that into account and really stand tall with our activists. It is not a matter of misinterpreting what's going on with an activist. But if we don't know how this targeting works and what it looks like when it has come for someone, we need to know. And that's why I'm going to write what I'm going to write, and then look for a place where it can go, in some magazine or something, where it can be put up as Clifford's and my statement. Both he and I have been targeted, and we're willing to talk about our targeting, but it's unbelievable the number of ways that this happens to people, and we need to pull the mask off to some degree so that we who are watching it happen know what we're looking at the very least. It isn't like we can come out like Superman and save this person, but to misinterpret what has happened to them just adds insult to injury. You see what I mean? We need to know what happened to them so that we are not judging them for whatever we're using to misinterpret what happened to them. So that's why I'm going to write that.
And that's great, because we need it.
Yeah, we do.
And
we
like,
do.
I could tell you like what happened to me. What happened to me is I went in for a normal, my 6 month, little doctor thing. I have to go in for work every 6 months and make sure everything's good. And I went in there just like I always do. They take your blood pressure, and I was sitting there, and this lady come in I've never seen before, come walking in real fast. I thought she was doing my blood pressure, and she shot me up and then booked out of the room, like before I even know what happened. And then 2 days later, I get the call saying,
"Yeah,
you never seen her before, never seen her again."
That is exactly what I mean, and that I can honestly say I have heard of that scenario and why I distrust hospitals beyond belief, and doctors and clinics, because when you're an activist, especially a frontline or a high-profile activist, you may think your movement is not important, like anti-geoengineering. It never gets any press. It's just sort of this, people who know they're right, talking about this technology that is, for the most part, completely ignored in even in activist posts. So, but the hospital part where you have no power in that environment. And, the great white doctor rules, and the nurses, and the whole, this is how we do things thing. And so that's exactly how they do it, is they'll just zip in and zip out. I have, when I was targeted recently, I had to go to the emergency room to get my right shoulder reset because the targeting slammed me to the ground so severely. I'm amazed I didn't shatter my shoulder, but it only dislocated. And so in the emergency room, there were all sorts of funny things going on. But I had my little lens on, my little targeting lens, because I had already figured out I had been targeted. And that in most cases of people I had talked with who had been targeted for other things, not just for activism, but who were targeted, period, it always seemed that some incident would happen in the street theater outside, and then they'd end up in the hospital, and now it carries over there too. There are going to be a couple, 3 people on staff who are going to be players, and that the targeting has not ended. It's going to go on there too. So I was highly on my guard, and I could go on about that because I analyzed the whole thing and figured it all out. And I will support you, brother, that is exactly what happened to you with that person who came in and did the dirty work really fast.
Yeah,
this is another reason that institutions.
Yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to tell you about that episode. Are you still there? You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
Yeah. No, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
On the way home from the doctors, I mean, this is just insane. My wife and I were driving down the back road about 2 miles from our house, and I seen what looked like a star about the size of Jupiter up in the sky, real bright white, and I could see it was moving towards us. I mean, it was way up in the air, and within seconds, a super bright flash flashed my rearview mirror and blinded me. It didn't get my wife, but she seen the whole inside of the car light up. And I'm looking behind me. I'm looking, once I got my vision back, got stopped, I'm looking all around. There was nothing around, no car headlights. And I didn't know, I still to this day don't know what to make of what that was.
Oh, but I think I do. I'll put in what I think, because I've studied these guys. They give you a message. Everything means a message. There's a message. It isn't just we're going to hurt you really bad or we're going to scare you. No, there's usually a message. And in your case, where you had the hospital thing happen, and then you're coming home and you get the flash from this aerial vehicle, probably a drone. That's it. They wanted to make sure you got the message. So they flashed you. Get the message. Shut up.
But
Stop doing your activism.
No, I just stepped it up.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what people need to do. If you bow out, and some of our activists have done that. If you bow out, the message is it worked.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
It didn't really cramp my style much at all.
Yeah, and that's how you got to do. You got to let them know you're not going down easy. It's a fight to the finish.
Well, and for me, I would call it a mission. I don't mean a mission like a Christian mission or, straight from God or anything, but it is a mission that I do this. And I've been through this before. I've done other missions in life. And there's always a point at which I'll hear that little inner voice that will then say to me, okay, you're done. Good work. Move on. And I have not heard that yet for this one. I assume after this 3rd book and more radio and more talks that I will eventually hear that message. But no, I don't work for this world. I work for something else.
Exactly.
But I'm really glad. I'm really glad I've encountered you. I didn't really know you, and I certainly didn't know you'd been targeted. This targeting thing is a horror beyond belief. I know a lot about it, and Dr. John Hall has written a book on it. Others have spoken up, whistleblowers, and it's just unbelievable. I mean, I in a way I have to pinch myself of how horrific it really is. And a lot of the people being used are young people. Yeah.
Yep, and it's like I was pretty young to have what they gave me. I was like 20 years too young to actually be getting that. So, it was blatant.
What, the cancer?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, prostate cancer was supposed to be slow growing. Well, I was just in there 6 months before and had no PSA whatsoever. And when after that test, it was at a 28. So I went from a 0 to a 28 in 6 months. That's like unheard of.
Oh, yeah. No, it was fast-acting cancer, no question. They've done that to a lot of people. But it's so cowardly. I just can't get over that. How cowardly it all is. Because it's ultimate deniability. It's just cancer. Well, everybody knows the CIA certainly has the ability to inject cancer cells. I mean, everybody knows that. So why don't we know that happens to activists? And giving people drugs and drugging them and making them look like they're drug addicts when they've been shot up. Why don't people remember that when an activist goes down? That's what I mean. There's something about that isn't right. We're not, and most of the people who listen to your show and who know about me, they're normal, regular people. They're not, experts on targeting or experts on directed energy weapons. But there is a moment when you know enough and you're not using your perception properly. You're not really paying good attention. You're just buying the farm on somebody else's opinion. Oh yeah, it was drugs. Oh well, it can't be. It just happens. Cancer happens. We have to really get a little sharper on this. Otherwise, our activists, are they protected at all? Well, not really.
You also got to throw in...
But you can be protected.
You got to throw in all the holistic doctors that are being killed.
Yes, exactly. And in that case, that's another part of the targeting essay that I'll be writing is if you have a PhD or are a doctor, then you have more believability, more credibility. So you are that much more vulnerable. I have a materials, a nanomaterials scientist writes me quite a bit and has called me a couple times. He went to a very prestigious university, and then I guess he was sort of on the payroll, and then he bowed out because he didn't like what they were doing, and they are just targeting him mercilessly. He's fleeing all over the world for safety, and they follow him everywhere. So, the PhD is really in a conundrum. A lot of people wonder, why don't these scientists speak out? Well, I think I might know why they don't. I think they've had a visit, gotten a message, and it would be, it might even be their family. So that's how low and criminal it's all gotten.
Yeah, agree. Yeah. Totally. And, now it's the war on the truth. I mean, they're slowly taking away our speech. making things harder and harder to try to get messages out. I mean, it's just all-out war. People, it really is a war. It's a war for humanity.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is, and that's how I see it, and that's what I operate out of. And I am a soldier, and I'm doing my job, and I see you as the same. And there are a lot of us, but some of us have different jobs. I mean, that's fine. It takes all of us. It's a democratic movement. It really is, because there is no structure. There's no leader of this movement. A lot of people think, oh, Elana is a leader. No, Elana is not a leader. I mean, I'm one of the people. I'm one of the ones that's speaking out, writing books that, very few people read. I mean, I think the book has sold, the Under Nine Eye Sky has sold maybe 10,000 copies now. But it's hard going reading when all the technology in people's lives is undermining their ability to concentrate and their memory. It's really, people need to get that squared away. These technologies are not just about convenience. They are weaponized. And the wireless technology is particularly culpable. It's just stealing our concentration and our memory and videos themselves. I mean, I have mixed feelings about videos, right? Because videos, when you're watching a video, you go into alpha wave. That's how you watch a video. That's how you watch TV. You're in alpha wave. That is not thinking. You need to be in beta wave as well. And I can do that, but I have to do it consciously. To keep my thinking alive. Pause the video, like when you were doing Darian, the hurricane. Go back over it. Go back, look at something, listen to what Mike said, think about it, move on. It's got to be conscious. It's got to be conscious, and then you're really getting something from it that you're going to take away. It's not just movie time, pass the popcorn, wow, zone out. No, it has to be a lesson, something you're really attending to. Then you can keep that reading capability, which, really most people don't have anymore.
Yeah, and the school system doesn't make it any better. I mean, you look at the tablets they have these kids using, and the Wi-Fi is pointed, right at their private parts, making them sterile. And I mean, it's just the amount of weaponry that they're using on the kids is just completely insane. Now they're trying to confuse them with the gender thing and all that stuff. It's unreal.
And I mean, in the schools, I substitute teach sometimes for extra cash. And it's the routers, Mike. It's the routers. I mean, there are so many routers in these schools. These kids are just all cooking. They're just cooking. What can I say? And then the girls get the headaches, and nobody's putting it together. Nobody's like, you don't need these free computers from Apple. They're killing you.
Yeah.
They're killing you. These are weapons. Yeah. Anyway, I keep my mouth shut because I wouldn't last as a substitute if I didn't.
Yep, exactly. Well, hey, I always wanted to have you on the show. I never really had a good enough reach, and didn't feel like I was ready for you. But now I'm glad I got you on here, because you're just got so much knowledge. Like, I'll have to go back and listen to this 2 or 3 times to pick it all up. And want to thank you for coming on here and spending some of your time with us.
Yeah, and I'm happy happy we spent the time to get to know each other a little bit. I mean, years ago when I was starting to do radio broadcasts, I was just such a stentorian. I mean, I was doing detail, man. I was doing numbers and, trying to really do a lot of tech. And now I noticed that I'm, like I said, I'm concentrating on the human element because, yeah, I can flash those credentials for understanding tech. But what about how people are going to face this? How people are going to be able to turn this around in their private lives? That's the important part, and that has to be how they're thinking about their lives and what they're conscious of. And that's the key. That I'm moving in that direction now, because this is a long war. And there will be many battles. This will not. It's like the people that have really done tremendous work on fighting the 5G and Internet of Things. This is just one battle. There will be more. This is gonna go on and on for a while, because people are slowly waking up to how we're being locked down in this. And I didn't explain the space fence. I'm sorry I didn't do that, because that's important to know that. We're all plugged into this space fence that starts up in the stratosphere and comes down onto in the ground level, in all these machines that are calibrated together. As Billy Hayes was so great in helping me understand, the calibration and the recalibration has to go on and on and on in order to keep that lockdown tight. And now, with the nanos in us, we are plugged in. There's no question. It's not a future tense thing. It's not tomorrow, not next week, not next year. No, it's already happened. We're all plugged in. And so I have to be careful also and be more conscious of what I'm thinking, what's going on, just to not be taken unawares. And I was taken unawares when I was targeted. I really was. I was not paying attention. And that was a big lesson to me, Mike, and it might be a lesson to you too. You've got to pay attention now. So thank you so much for having me.
And we'll definitely...
And next time I'll be...
Yeah, we'll definitely get you back on whenever you want to come on here, just like I told Billy. Anytime he wants to come on here, I do a show every night, so... It's not like I got openings all the time. So
that's amazing.
So if there's something you need to get off your mind, just send me a message. We'll let you out there.
That is great. Would you be interested in doing any targeted individuals if they wanted to come on?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. All right, and you probably won't hear from me until I get this book written, because I'm all over the place. I mean, I hardly know myself these days. My eating is weird, my sleeping is weird, and yet I'm so happy to be writing this book. I'm just ecstatic. Every morning I wake up, I'm so excited to be able to keep writing this book.
Well, yeah, we're all glad you're doing it, so that's going to help a lot of people. And we'll make sure we'll spread the book out. We'll get some people buy the book. Because it's stuff people need to know. I mean, people.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, and read paragraph by paragraph. Okay, all right, Mike. Blessings. Stay safe.
Hey, thanks for coming on here, Elana. We'll see you when you're done with your book. And you have a good night.
Okay, all right.
All right, we'll see you. Thanks.
Okay, good night.
Oh, what I do here. All right, guys. Want to thank everybody for joining us. Special thanks to Elana out there for coming on the show. Thanks to everybody out there that shares this information out there. Thanks to my wife for letting me do this stuff. So, anyway, guys, much love. Be safe. We're going to have to rise. We're going to play a song called Rise. Make sure you share this video out. Get more people to learn about this stuff. Be an activist. Be all you can be. Armor up, no fear. And here we go. Crank it up. Let's see if I can get the mic off.